Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Samantha Winona. This is Winona Reads. So it has been a little bit of time since my last video. I want to say almost 2 months. And it's been a little bit of a break. We had just a very, I wouldn't even say it's a busy start to the summer. I think just a lot of things have been happening, and I feel like when I try to, do reading vlogs on the weekends or film me reading, I feel like I really don't get that much reading done. And so I haven't really been picking up my camera. I have even like once in a while done a couple days of a social media detox, just to kind of bring everything down and kind of center myself again. It is end of July. Summer is flying by. Today is actually my twins' birthday. They are 5 today. And so I have a couple minutes. I wanted to go over my June and July reads in a wrap-up and then do my August TBR. So I want to say, I counted them before and then I forgot. I think June, my number for June was, I want to say 7 or 8 reads, and then my July, I think, just got up to 10 reads this month. I don't know, we'll count as we go. A lot of them I don't have with me. I've either lent out, or they're in a different spot in the house, or they're audiobooks. So I only have a small stack here with me. The rest I will just post pictures as I go. Please excuse if you can see any gray hairs. I'm so embarrassed. I haven't gotten my hair done in like too long. Too long. And we just got back from Arizona. I just feel like when I'm in the sun, my hair lightens so much. And so, I don't know. I just feel like I'm noticing all the... You guys don't care. Anyway. Alright, the first read that I had finished in June was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This was 5 stars for me. This was book number 3. I loved it. I'm just looking. This was 700 pages. And this was my favorite one of the whole series. So I think this one would be my favorite. And then book 2. And then the last one. I definitely think A Court of Thorns and Roses was my least favorite. I do have the novella on my shelves back there, but I tried to get into that and I was just like, I read a lot of people saying that it wasn't completely necessary as like an in-between, so I decided to just skip right over it. But that was my first book of June that I had finished. That's a continuation of Feyre and her place in the Night Court. This one had a lot of focus on like the politics and the war aspect, and that was my favorite for me. I really dove into like the fantasy aspect and less into like the romance behind it. The character development, it was so good. That one was definitely my favorite. After that, I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And this one I rated 5 stars as well. So Brianna had gone through a divorce. Her brother needed a kidney kidney replacement. He had a chronic illness and needed a replacement. And come to find out, the doctor that I think it was a doctor. They were both doctors, yes? A new doctor comes on her staff to potentially run for the same job as she was hoping to get, and he ends up stating that he never wanted the job to begin with. He ends up qualifying to be a donor for her brother, and then a romance starts, and there's kind of this whole messy, interwoven, do we let all the family know? And then I think there was a fake dating trope too. There was a lot going on, but her writing is so well done. I will absolutely read anything that she comes out with. I loved it. And I did also make sure to read, I don't think it was necessary, but I read the first one the month before. It's not really a series, but I just felt like I wanted to read some of her characters because sometimes they like intermingle. After that, I read My Travels with Mrs. Kennedy by Clint Hill. I have that somewhere downstairs. This was a memoir. Is this focused? That was a memoir about, I believe he was her CIA agent, and it was about their travels. So not only was it a memoir about their relationship, but it had a lot of historical content, where they traveled and what was going on during that time when they did travel to those places. I did like it. I thought it started off pretty decently, but the more I got into it, the less interested there was no momentum to like keep going. But yeah, other than that, it was good. So yeah, I rated that one 3 stars. The one after that was Dream On by Angie Hockman. And that one I rated 4 stars. Oh, yes. This one was, okay, so Cass has an accident. She wakes up and she knows everything about this one person. Her family is kind of like, you dreamed it all up. He's not real. You know, you never mentioned him. You've never met him. Some people were like, maybe they were dating and, you know, it was kind of hush hush. But it just, stuff didn't add up. So she wakes up. Everyone's confused. She goes, you know, on a little bit in life and then happens to go into a flower shop, runs into this guy that she knew. I think, was she in a coma? I don't remember if she was in a coma, but she woke up after the accident. So she runs into this guy who is actually real. She knows things about him that are accurate. They go on a date to figure out what really this is all about and how she knows these things. And she ends up dating him for a little bit, ends up falling for his brother, and by the end of it realizes how she actually came to know him. I thought it was so good. I also love Angie Hockman's writing, so this is going to be another auto-buy author for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sorry if there's background noise. I have a little babe in here snacking while I do this. After that, I read The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand. I gave that one 3 stars. I feel like she's at a point in her career where she's almost retiring and just doesn't put a lot, not that it's a lot of effort. I'm not sure how I want to word this. I just feel like I'm not connecting with her stories as much. I remember when I first started reading her, like during the summer, probably 7 years ago now, I would read her series and there was just more dynamic in it. The characters and how they all intermix, like, yes, she still does that currently, but it just isn't the same for me. And the last 2 books have been like kind of hit or miss. Not that I don't enjoy them, I read them to the end. It's not like I DNF it, but afterwards it's just, I have like a weird feeling about if I actually liked it or not. And this one was kind of the same, but leaning towards like it wasn't, I just miss her old writing. I miss the stuff like The Rumor and what's the other one, The Castaways, just all the older stuff. But this one was about a woman who gets into, Hollis has like a cooking blog where she, you know, is all about presentation and how things look and how things taste. Her husband goes to leave on a trip and gets into a car accident and passes away. She, in her grieving process, finds that she wants to reconnect with her friends, so she invites friends. Excuse my dog. So, yep. So she invites friends like from her current state of life through like the last couple years, like, you know, decades. That's what I meant to say. I was gonna say centuries. The last couple decades. And she ends up inviting one of the bloggers, what's the phrase? Like one of the top fans of her blog page, I guess is how I would word it. Come to find out, well, I don't want to spoil it, but come to find out there is a relationship that she is unaware of with this top fan, and that kind of comes to light by the end of it. And again, I just didn't like the drama behind it just, to me, wasn't well done. It was very predictable, but also just very dry. I don't know, it bored me a little bit, which I'm not used to with her writing. One after that I finished was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I rated it 5 stars. This is one of the best fantasies that I have read in quite a while. This was about Violet going through a training school where you are paired with dragons if you don't die through the trials. It kind of has like a Hunger Games feel, but with dragons, and kind of just a different element to it. Her family has connections with another family that she is training with, or like her trainer, his parents and her parents didn't get along, and then they obviously kindle a romance. I loved that this was more fantasy based and less romance based. I think her writing is so good. I want to read some of her other stuff. I cannot wait for the second book to come out. This is definitely well worth the hype in my opinion. After that, I had started Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I had read Every Summer After, I think last summer or the summer before. Whenever it first came out, I got it. And I loved the dynamic. I loved the characters. I thought it was really well done. It was memorable. Definitely worth the hype that it had back then. This one, I don't think there's much hype anymore. It was hyped up in the beginning, and I just don't... I think it lost momentum for a reason. This is about a girl named Fern who years ago tries to have some sort of connection with this guy Will. They're supposed to meet at a certain place at a certain time, and he doesn't show up, and now years later her mother asked him to help her with the hotel that she owned because it's going under, and her mother passes away, so now they're in the same spot working on the same thing. The characters were so boring to me. I could not stay focused. I picked it up on audiobook and tried to read along, which usually helps me get through things that I'm feeling stuck in, and I still could not get into it, which is so unfortunate because, like I said, I loved her first book and I was so hyped for the second one. I DNF'd it. 70% I DNF'd it. I could not finish it. I could not force myself to finish it even at 70%. It just wasn't worth it for me, unfortunately. That was a bummer and a disappointment for me on that. The one after that I picked up was Greek Lessons by Hong Kong. And this was about a woman who is learning Greek language. She is going to classes, and she has a form of mutism. She doesn't talk. She has strained issues with her ex-partner and her son. She's taking these Greek lessons from a teacher who is slowly becoming blind and losing his eyesight. There's 2 different dynamics coming into play, and then towards the end there is, I wouldn't call it a resolution, but they are sort of working together, and he's unable to obviously see her, and he runs into an issue where he needs someone's help, and she has her own issue with communication and not being verbal and writing things, you know, using her finger on his hand. So it was definitely interesting. I think a little bit went over my head, but it was very hyped up. This was my first time reading their work. I do have another book somewhere. I have Human Acts, which I haven't gotten to. I would recommend. I just don't think I really understood the concept of everything, and I don't know if that's because of like a translation, or I really don't know. After that I read A Waiter in Paris by Edward Chisholm. Yes, I rated it 3.5. This was another one that fell short for me. I had picked it up, started to get into it, and it was very intriguing and very enveloping, but then I just started to struggle and feel like I could get through it faster with the audiobook. So I did start listening to the audiobook to kind of pull through a little bit faster in some of the scenes, and it worked for the most part. Towards the end, it just seemed a little bit redundant, and it didn't have, not the momentum, but like it just, like, I know that it's not plot based, it's a memoir. It's supposed to be about a specific time in this person's life, which is fine. It just fell short for me. By the end of it, I just felt it was a little dry and uninteresting where I was at. Sorry if my dog is making noise in the background. He wants to come in. After that, I finished The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This one I finished in 2 days, rated it 4.5 stars. I loved it. I did think that the ending was a little bit like, why did you have to sort of have a happy ending? Why couldn't it have been left the way that it seemed like it was gonna go? But it did remind me of like old school thrillers, or like, I don't think Agatha Christie, because I actually haven't read her stuff, but like it just gave me that old school mystery vibe. But this was about, let me see, I don't even remember the sisters' names. I think one was Nora. Lenora is accused of killing her family. Her mother, her father, and her sister, 17 years old, and come to find out years later there is much more to the story, and there are twists and turns throughout. Riley Sager is gonna be a new favorite of mine, another auto buy, and I just thought it was well done. The one after that I finished, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. This I rated 4 stars. I finished this in 24 hours. This one has so many things. I don't know if you can see my tags, but I took notes throughout this entire thing. I think this covers a lot more than just the like end of the world kind of trope. At first it did remind me a little bit of The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I don't think that was intentional. I just think the atmosphere, but it is sort of last person to live type of thing. A bunch of women are in a bunker underneath the ground. They don't know how they got there, why they got there. There are unspoken rules, no crying, no touching, not being loud, not doing certain things. There are guards to make sure that these unspoken rules are enforced. And then all of a sudden, by fate, they are released. There's like this big siren. They are released. They venture up to the top of the, the steps to the bunker. They are, looking out. They don't see anything, don't see any of the guards. It's like everyone disappeared. And then as they start to travel, they realize that they are not the only bunker, but the only, spoiler alert, survivors. So there is so much to unpack. This is only 187 pages, but this was so good, and I just think it says so much about survival and mentality, forming bonds with people. There was just so many different sections to kind of go into. I underlined so much in that book. I really did love it. The one after that was an audiobook, What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther, and that I rated 3 stars. I honestly don't remember the characters. I think this is a YA. I'd be surprised if it's not. This was about Lily, who, oh yes, they are in a boarding school. Lily gets a note from the school jester saying that she is to be part of the school joke or prank, or senior prank, I guess you would say. And she comes to find out that the prankster doing this year's senior prank is her ex-boyfriend. They learn a little bit about each other, like as far as after their breakup and why their relationship ended. There is, the fun aspect of like high school, but there was a lot more kind of involved than just, a YA thing about, sorry, I hear my kids downstairs. It was more than just a simple like YA book. I think it was well done. I was just reading someone's comment on Goodreads that says the annoying thing about this is that 80% of the book is in the synopsis, and I would have to agree with that. I am one to very much keep myself blind and only know a few key facts about things before I go into it, and the description literally is almost the entire book condensed. So if you please don't read the description and just listen to the book. I did listen to it on audio and I did think it was worth it. It was a very cute summer read. But yeah, after that I listened to Rough Draft, a memoir by Katie Tur. She is a journalist who had journalist parents growing up. She is from an abusive household. Her father was very aggressive in their family, and people at his job knew it, but no one really talked about aggression back then. This goes into her, obviously, childhood, growing up with famous parents. I don't think they were necessarily famous in the sense of posted everywhere, but one of their stories, I think it was the OJ, either the OJ filming or something similar, that they were one of the first ones to get it. So in that sense of like the media world, they were very famous. And then it goes into her figuring out what she wanted to do in life, her figuring out how to not have a strained relationship with her father, and just going from there. I really enjoyed it. What did I give it? I gave it 4 stars. I finished it in a couple hours. I did listen to it on audiobook even though I have the copy, but it was definitely worth the read. After that I read or listened to The Whispers by Ashley Audrain, and that I rated 3 stars. I did not love this. So this was about 4 families, but they're like intermingled or interwoven. They are neighborhood families. There is a party. Let me back up. So the son falls out of his 2nd-story window and is in a coma. Either that night, I think it's that night earlier, the neighbors at the party heard her yelling at her son and just thinks that they assume the worst. Everyone is kind of trying to figure out what exactly happened. It dives it, this holds so much. There is a lot to like unpack in every storyline, but something about it irked me and did not rub me the right way. There are conversations about overstimulated parents. There are conversations about fertility issues. There are conversations about cheating spouses. There are conversations about just parenting in general, gentle parenting versus like parenting, the different dynamics of all of them. There was so much going on in this book, and I think that might have been the issue. It just had too much going on, and it's not that I didn't do it in the right way. I think it was interesting. It kept my attention. I just think the way that it was left, it was unsettling. So I only rated it 3 stars. That was one of our book club picks, and wasn't a big fan of it. After that I read The Stopover by T.L. Swan. This was a audiobook that I listened to on the plane ride home from Arizona. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? I rated this 3 stars. It was a smut book, just what you expect. I don't know. It was very simple. A couple meets on an airplane, they have a layover, they hook up, and then I think like a year or 2 later she comes into the office for a job, gets the, lands the interview, lands the job position, starts at the company, and then realizes that her boss is the guy that she hooked up with, and then figures out not only that dynamic in that relationship, but also they have like issues within the company, and so she like has a role to play in that while also being under his supervision. It was interesting, kept my attention, was perfect for a plane ride home. I did try to finish or start the 2nd book and stopped. So I just feel like those are kind of hit or miss, like either you're in the mood for them or you're not. After that I listened to The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Again, I love the twists and turns. The one thing I did note about this, and I am so over this idea, or I guess narration, is the unreliable, drunken female narrator. It drives me insane. How many of these books can you make where the female across the lake, the neighbor next door, has her drinks and sits with her binoculars? Like, can you be more original than that? But other than that, I think it was well done. I didn't see some of the stuff coming, which is something that I like and keeps my attention in thrillers, is when I don't see the plot. I'm just here for the ride. I let it unfold. So some of the aspects I thought were really well done. That was my only downside to it, was the unreliable narrator, but it served its purpose, so I guess I'll let it slide. After that, I finished last night A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This was 751 pages. This took me an entire month to read, and I did end up pushing through again with audiobook. And honestly, I found it more enjoyable with the audiobook while I was reading along than just reading it. For some reason, it just clicked, and it was so interesting, and I could picture things in detail more listening to it while looking at the words. I rated this 4 stars, 3.75 to 4. I did not like the romance in this. We get it, they're attracted to each other, they hook up, great, but like, you get a chapter and then it's like a chapter and a half of a scene, and then a little bit of like the war and politics and like her family and character development, and then back to the romance, and then like there's just too much smut in it for me. I'm very fantasy driven, so I did like the character development, I did like the relationships progressing, but like, just stop with the sex scenes. And the last one that I finished this morning was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I finished that within 24 hours. I rated it 3 stars. And this was, I already forgot their name, Bree and Nathan. And they've been friends forever, didn't want to push anything in the wrong way. They thought back in the day they would get together, and then she had an either accident or incident, and she fell into a depression. She didn't want to hold him back, so she pushed him away. He went on to become a NFL player, and now they're back to being best friends. He doesn't hold relationships, she doesn't hold relationships. They're finally single for once. They hook up after a fake dating trope. It was interesting. Would I recommend it? Yes, for like summer reading. I feel like it would be good. I think listening to it was the way to go. And yeah, it was alright. So those were all of the books. I think all of the books. I hope I didn't miss any. But I'm going to quickly pick 3 of my August TBRs, and then I feel like my kids went through these because I already read this and I know I've already taken this out, so that's gonna be annoying. Spare by Prince Harry. I already read that, so I'm gonna pick a new one. I think they went through it when I wasn't home one night and just stuffed all the things back in here. But I am gonna post my TBR for August over on my Instagram. I'll leave the handle down below. Okay, this is a new one. Last Summer in the City by Gianfranco. I think it's that orange book. I started it once. I'll take a look. You agree? Yeah. Hamnet. I'm not really in the mood for that. Did I pick this already too? Hello? Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, not really in the mood for Hamnet, if I'm being honest, but we'll see. And the third one, Mixed Up. Aw, this is a cute one. I would definitely pick this up. Mixed Up Files of, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that. Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankenweiler, I think. Let me grab those quick. Yeah. Alright, let's see, where is the... Huh? What? Alright, well, I have to go to dinner and I don't know where the other book is, so I will look for it. This is The Mixed Up Files. I definitely will pick this up. I might even start this tonight. I haven't ever read this, and I did actually give this to one of my nieces either last year or the year before, so this is definitely a cute read that I see myself picking up. I also am in the middle of a Joan Didion book, The White Album. I started that on the plane that I want to finish, and I just don't know what I'm in the mood for, but I have been doing pretty well with the momentum that I have going, the rhythm that I have. So I'm going to go get my kids ready for their birthday dinner, and then this weekend is their party. I think next weekend I might actually post and see if anyone wants to do it with me. So it would be August 4th through 6th. I don't know if I would do it 24 hours, but I do think I want to do a readathon. I don't know if I would do the entire weekend or just like 24 hours. But let me know what you guys think down below. I think it would be fun. I've never done one before. I haven't hosted one or actually participated in one. So that would be something fun. But thank you for watching my chaotic and never ending, I feel like I've been talking forever, book wrap up, and let me know what you loved in July and what you didn't love, and let me know what you're currently reading, and I will see you soon. As always, thank you for watching my videos, and please subscribe and use the like button on whichever ones you find entertaining. Bye.